The TinyPi Pro really does take its name quite literally. It's a handheld gaming device that uses and is the same size but not thickness to a Raspberry Pi Zero, with a screen, controller and sound to go along with it, and delivers the same emulation power that the Raspberry Pi Zero delivers. PiOckit, who he goes by on his Instagram and YouTube channel, created a Kickstarter to get the TinyPi Pro going, so you can imagine how patiently I've been waiting to get my hands on one. In his first week he had met and surpassed his goal of £7,500. I managed to get the early bird Oreo edition with a black front and back case sandwiched between a white middle casing. What you get in the box is all the parts disassembled for you to piece together, but you do need to supply your own Raspberry Pi and SD card. The box includes the case with controller buttons, the main TinyPi Pro controller board and screen, a 400 mAh battery, a tiny speaker, pogo pins to connect your Raspberry Pi to the controller board, a USB to micro USB to transfer games, some screws to encase the whole device, and an Allen key and tweezers. His predecessor, the TinyPi, was a halfway house to the TinyPi Pro vision, but functionally does the same thing. The TinyPi Pro was made for enthusiasts and hobbyists alike and made it extremely simple for you to assemble a device, as it requires no soldering at all. Assembling the device took no more than 30 minutes and it was very straightforward, albeit I did check his YouTube guide whilst I was making this video to ensure I wasn't placing anything out of place. The tweezers came in handy when placing the pogo pins inside the case hole. When placing the battery inside the case, I found it very difficult to fit and encase the whole device together because the wires were too long, so I had to cut and resolder the wire to make it a lot shorter, and it made a big difference after putting the last casing in. The image is a custom RetroPi image. You'll be able to find this on his website, and you'll be able to install it the same way you do with any other Raspberry Pi image. I've left the link in the description below. Once assembled, you can click the power button to get the status of the power. Green being fully charged, yellow meaning it's halfway, and red means you probably need to start charging it. Holding down the power button turns the device on. And straight away I saw a green line above the screen. My initial thoughts was that I had broke the screen, but I can see the line getting smaller and change the colours to yellow, and realised it's battery status, which I think is a great implementation for battery status. Please be careful tightening the screws at the end of the build. I found that when putting a bit more intended pressure, it made the LCD screen discolour. So I'd recommend tightening it to a point that it's secured but not tight that it squashes the screen to the case. The screen on the device is actually pretty sharp, and you can clearly see the tiny details such as small text measuring at 1.3 inches and a 240 by 240 resolution. It's pretty impressive. Transferring games is like any other Raspberry Pi device. Just make a RetroPi folder inside your USB stick and plug it in using the supplied USB to micro USB. Also to note that you'll be able to charge and transfer at the same time, as there are two USB ports, one for charging and the other for data transfer. The sound is pretty good as well. Unfortunately there's no headphone jack, and I've not tested it with Bluetooth headphones, but I'm sure that'll work with no issues. The sound can go really loud, and the only way I could turn it down was through the RetroPi interface, which means exiting to the menu, so a volume controller would be handy. Gameplay wise, it's able to play all the 2D games really well, but being it's a Raspberry Pi Zero, it's not going to play 3D based games as well. But the games that do runs buttery smooth, although don't think you can spend hours on end, as it only has a 400 mAh battery, which is about an hour's gameplay. The main gripe I have with the TinyPi Pro is that there's no hard power switch. I ran in some occasions where the device would just be frozen to a blank screen. I thought it would eventually turn off, but it didn't. I thought by holding the power button down for a long period of time would make it turn off, but didn't. I either had to wait till the battery had run out or take the battery out of the device. I would have liked an option for a power switch in this situation, but hopefully I'm the only one that has seen this issue and hasn't affected anyone else. The device itself is extremely well made, and every part has been thought about, from the nice tactile feel of buttons, the ingenious design for the shoulder buttons, to the battery indicators. Although that being said, I played it for around 30 minutes non-stop and had hand cramp because the device was so small. But that's the appeal of the TinyPi Pro. The fact that you can fit it in your pocket and more so, and is able to play a whole library of retro games is astounding. this can literally be hung on a keychain for some on-the-go gaming. Its design and simplicity of piecing together a portable gaming device without the need of solder and complicated wirework is a great achievement for hobbyists as well as the modding scene. I would like to see what other projects PiOcket has down the road, as this is something that could really take off. Again, thanks again for watching. Please comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!